So Courtney,
What?
I have questions.
Questions about what? Oh no, did he find out? Okay, we're just joking about it. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about what are the most frequently asked questions that we get when people are calling us and asking us, questions about, because they're thinking about, hey, I'm thinking about moving to St. George, and, I have these questions about what is it really like to live here?
In fact, we have about 7 questions.
Yeah, we're going to talk about 7 of the most frequently asked questions that people have when they're thinking about moving to St. George, Utah. So stay tuned.
What's up, everybody? I'm Sean Dezad.
And I'm Courtney Dezad, and we're with Keller Williams Realty right here in St. George, Utah. And if you're interested in learning about everything there is to know about living in St. George, press on the subscribe button and then press on the bell so that you're notified every time that we upload a new video, because we upload new videos every week.
Yes, and we are actually licensed real estate agents in the state of Utah. So while we do love making these YouTube videos, what we do love even more is helping you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a house, what you want to do is either give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email.
Or you can reach out to us via WhatsApp. However you want to get a hold of us, we've got your back. So this question is a question that we get a lot, I would say, from people who are coming from the West Coast. So St. George, I would say the most people that come here, they come either from the West Coast, they come from up north in Utah, they come from Idaho, a lot from Idaho, Montana, some of the colder regions, because they're trying to, escape the cold winters.
Northern Utah. Yeah,
northern Utah. But people from the West Coast, because the West Coast generally has like fairly mild summers, they want to know, like, how hot is it really in St. George? I mean, how hot is it?
It's hot. I mean, especially, I would say in the summertime, definitely hot. Hot! Now, one thing we do have going for us here is that it is a dry heat, so it's not, again, like where your sister lives in Texas. Like, you get hit. Like, I just remember going in that airport in DFW, and basically the doors open. You just get blasted with this convection oven. And this hot breeze. I'm not used to hot breezes. I'm used to a breeze actually being like somewhat of a relief. Not in Texas, right? That's just not how it goes. But so what we have in St. George, at least, is that we do have the hot, again, it's dry heat, but also another thing that actually helps with the heat is that in the middle of the day, hot.
Yeah,
let's be real. It's hot.
That's not the worst part.
However, actually the mornings and the evenings, it gets very pleasant, actually.
Yeah, I would say that you do get to really enjoy the evenings because it does cool down. I mean, not to say that it's cool at the peak of the summer, right? It's not cool in the night, but it is cooler.
Yeah, it's tolerable for sure. I mean, it's actually pleasant.
Yeah, it's pleasant. You can go outside in the morning and the evening and do things. And then it's weird because it's so dry when you're in the shade. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, I would say, I've obviously, my sister lives in Texas. I have actually lived in Florida, and I would say that Texas and Florida, in terms of heat, are worse. Even though Florida temperature is lower.
It's more suffocating.
Yeah.
So it's obviously that humid heat, like the whole, it's like 85 degrees, but feels like 155 degrees. Like it just it's kind of just stuck to you. It's hard to, like let's say if you're going on a run, it's just, you feel like you're dying, basically. It's just really brutal. So at least in St. George, yes, it does get hot, especially middle of the day, in the middle of summer. It's going to be hot. I mean, let's just be real. However, that summer period is about 3 or 4 months long. And really it's the middle of the day that in particular is kind of tough. But then you have the evenings, and then the rest of the year is just actually very nice.
Yeah, I would say the rest of the year is just gorgeous, but you do have to deal with the hot summers.
Yeah, and actually a follow-up question to that then is, how many gallons of moisturizer and sunblock do you need?
Oh man, you need a lot. You also need those SPF shirts.
Yes, that's true.
Those are so helpful.
Yeah,
so helpful. That you can buy the SPF hats. I just buy moisturizer that has like sunscreen in it. But yeah, you would need, and because the air is so dry, I'm literally always putting like moisturizer.
So yeah, just understand you're going to be investing in moisturizer because yeah, like it's amazing actually when you see like people's faces in the humid heat. Like it's like there's no lines.
You look beautiful.
Exactly. You're glowing. In the summer, you're like a dried up prune. I mean, it's just like that sucks the water out of you. So you just got to be ready that, again, put that moisture on to counteract that thing, put on sunscreen.
Yeah.
Especially like, again, our daughter, like in particular, is very fair skin. So we have to like really coat her with sunscreen because she's going to turn like beet red basically. So we just got, so that's just one of those things you have to be aware of.
People also ask us, how high are the home prices really? So what is it, what's the cost of buying a home here?
Well, and that's a relative question, right? Because it depends on where you're coming from. But like, we will say that obviously the prices have moved up rather significantly. Like, in 2021, it moved, the appreciation was 40%. And so the median price point, let's say in the city of St. George, is $544,000 compared to the median price point in the country, is $344,000. So St. George is about 58% higher than the median price point of the rest of the country, right? So just so you know, it is definitely on the higher range. It's certainly not, again, if you're coming from one of these metropolitan areas, it's not ridiculously
Seattle,
expensive. LA,
San Francisco, New York City,
like
Chicago,
DC, So it's definitely not as expensive as these big population centers, but certainly I wouldn't say don't come in here expecting that you're going to get a house for $100,000 or something like that.
Yeah, or get like this big plot of land for $100,000. I mean, you can find there are beautiful homes on big plots of lands, but they're not cheap.
Yes, exactly.
So another question we get is, what are the liquor laws really like here? Because obviously, people often wonder, can you actually drink alcohol in Utah? Yeah,
so Utah is kind of known before as a dry state, right? So where you couldn't get any liquor. Now, over time, it's been relaxed more and more. Now, and in grocery stores, you can find beer, you can find wine coolers.
So anything under 5% you can find in a grocery store.
Yeah, so you can find that. You will not find in grocery stores is anything harder than that. So it's kind of funny because, coming from Southern California, grocery stores stock pretty much everything. Like, hard stuff, wine, beer, everything. But in St. George, or in Southern Utah, or in Utah for that matter, but like, so you have to actually, that you're kind of limited. But then there are these designated liquor stores, basically.
Yeah, there's state liquor stores.
Yeah, and there's about 4 or 5 of them in the St. George area, and that's where you would actually be getting your, like, again, anything harder than the 5%.
Yeah, and what you do need to know, though, is that in the state liquor stores, it is more expensive because the tax is extreme on those. So some people, what they like to do is they will go out to Mesquite in Nevada. For example, if they're having, a big party or something, let's say they're having a big holiday party or a big 4th of July party or something like that, they might want to go out to Mesquite and they can go to, the Smiths out there and get whatever they want, and it's cheap. And
there's a tunnel to get you back into Utah.
Yeah, I guess technically there are some rules about
interstate.
Yeah, interstate, but I don't know.
I mean, obviously, unless you're like running this crazy, like getting a semi with the stuff.
Yeah,
I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Again, don't take our word for it. I'm just saying I would theoretically think that should be okay.
And then people wonder, are there breweries here? Are there bars here? Yes, there are.
Yeah, and actually over the years, it's actually grown more and more, which is really cool.
Yeah, so the actual downtown, there are a couple of bars and breweries, and there are restaurants that you can have a full bar. So it's not like it's, totally unavailable. It's just a little bit quirky, I would say. Yeah,
like actually a quick one. And you have to understand that some of these breweries and bars, like even if it's like a restaurant, it's actually a lot of them are 21 and over. Now, like George's Corner, for whatever reason, they have a full stock bar, and kids can eat there. I mean, our kids are certainly eating there plenty of times.
So another question we get asked is, how pro Second Amendment is Utah?
Pro.
Very pro.
Pro.
It's a very pro Second Amendment state. I would say people here definitely believe, they want to educate their kids on how to handle a firearm. I've called around to a few of the places, and they always recommend, our kids are a little bit younger, and they're like, well, it really just depends on what your preferences.
And it hasn't come up yet.
Yeah, but there are people, like, they start their kids as young as, like, 7. Yeah, so it really just depends on your preference. And so it's definitely very pro Second Amendment here.
Yes, and then actually, and there's a whole industry, like, for the training and stuff. And actually, my best friend, he loves, again, he's got guns and stuff like that. And there's actually this full-blown 4-day immersive training, gun training. And I'm going, like, firearm training. I'm going, wow, what do you do for 4 days? He was going, I don't know. Like, I didn't know. Like, at first he walked into it wondering himself, but then he said, yeah, this is actually a blast. Like, it was literally and figuratively. So it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. So another question that we get is obviously St. George, Utah. If you look at, so this is public information, if you look at statistics, this has been published in many, newspapers, and they get their numbers from the Church of Latter-day Saints. And about 65% of the people who live here are on the list of the Church of Latter-day Saints. That doesn't mean that they're like an active member. It just means that their name is in there. So nobody really knows.
And you don't really get your name taken off from what we understand.
Yeah, from what we understand, if your name's on there, you're on for life. But but there is a very strong, Mormon presence here. I mean, you can't. You see all the Mormon temples. You can't.
There's a ton of them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of Mormon temples around.
Yeah. So people wonder, what's it like living among, a very strong Mormon population?
Yeah. With any area that has like a predominance of any particular characteristic, whatever that is, right? You kind of wonder, okay, well, how is it for those that maybe aren't, within that? So like, let's say for those that aren't Mormons, how is that? Like, people do ask us this all the time. And really, I mean, at least, anecdotally speaking, obviously that's all we can kind of go off of. Anecdotally, I mean, everything's great. I mean, I have not felt any issues at all. I mean, people have been very welcoming, never felt like ostracized or an outcast in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's actually something I was very surprised by how welcoming everyone was. I thought, they're going to hate us because we're from California. And some other places, I've heard, like Tennessee, people will, if you tell them that you're from California, they really will be mean to you. Like, we haven't had that at all. I mean,
I used to live in Hawaii actually for a little bit, and famously people would have bumper stickers like, welcome to Hawaii, now get out. Get out! Get out of here! Mm-hmm. Like, people were not the most welcoming of, again, transplants, right? Like, so that's kind of, and so you kind of wonder, okay, California coming in there with, again, what you think of us being hippies or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it just has that unknown, right? And so, but no, people, again, very, very welcoming.
Yeah, I would say that I think people here, they kind of understand that, like, you're coming here because you're trying to get away from things that they also don't like. So you're not coming here to change anything.
Well, yeah, we're not missionaries ourselves to bring the California like way of life to Utah. So yeah.
So another question that we get is, how is the job market in St. George? So how would you answer this question?
This is interesting because it's kind of been a bit of an evolving situation because, obviously prior to the pandemic, again, the whole working remotely thing, it was a thing, but it was definitely not nearly as widespread as it is now. Now it's so widespread and so, again, just so taken as a normal thing that, like, St. George actually has a lot of different employers themselves, and actually it's growing by the day as far as new companies coming in because it is a very business friendly state. Mm-hmm. But on top of that, the whole remote working thing has really changed things up where these professionals can come from honestly anywhere in the country or the world for that matter to a place that they go, okay, I love, they just love what St. George has to offer. And they go, okay, I can work remotely and do it this way.
And I would say, one complaint that maybe some people have is that when you look at St. George's economy compared to, let's say, an economy of like Los Angeles or New York City, those economies, you can find a job in every industry. It has every industry is represented. And obviously, St. George does not have every industry represented.
Yeah, the area only has 200,000 people. So it's, that's what you get.
That being said, there are, it is growing here so much. I think because it is such a business-friendly state, a lot of companies are moving here because they're realizing, hey, this is, very business-friendly. It's a nice place to live.
Not that far away.
Yeah, not that far away from big, metropolitan areas. So, there's a growing aerospace industry here. And then because we obviously have, the universities here, Dixie State and Dixie Tech, and then you have the universities up in Cedar City as well. So you do get that innovation.
So you have a university aspect here. You have aerospace. Healthcare is actually pretty big here too.
Healthcare is huge.
Yeah, we have a really nice hospital here. Honestly, kind of a world class. It's actually shocking how good it is for, again, the population that it serves.
Yeah, Intermountain Healthcare is really, really renowned throughout the country as a very, very good healthcare system. And St. George itself attracts a lot of top doctors, top nurses, top healthcare professionals. So that's another big part of this industry. And then you obviously have, construction industry. You have a lot of industry around housing, huge tourism, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. So there's a lot of, the economy is growing, is very robust.
But then you add to that the whole remote work aspect to it, and that really kind of, again, where there's some deficiencies, that really kind of completes the puzzle as far as the employment aspect is concerned.
Mm-hmm. So another question we get is, people want to know, so what are the best neighborhoods in St. George? And
that's a hard one to answer because it's so personalized to what your needs are. Like, are you retiring? Do you have a young family? Are you single? Like what, so it's, when people ask that, you obviously need to delve in a little bit deeper to kind of find out what's important to them. Like, do they need to be by a park, by some good schools? Do they need to be by a golf course? Like, there's so many aspects of that. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, I would say that, it is a smaller region, right? So, it's really just what you want, right? I wouldn't say there's a best anything.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's it. That's our video.
And just as a reminder, we are licensed realtors in the state of Utah. So while we love making these YouTube videos, and Courtney, how much do we love making YouTube?
We love it.
Yes. So while we do love making these things, what we love even more is helping you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a house, what you want to do is either give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email.
Or you can reach out to us via WhatsApp. However you want to get a hold of us, we've got your back.